Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a plant pot with some writing on it that you can print and use for all your plants, and also you can change the writing on it as well to say whatever you want it to say. So first of all I'm going to start as I normally do, which is create a new component. I always do this because this is good for when you're making more complex parts. You can have different components and they're easier to edit it. I'm just going to leave it as component 1 as the name because it doesn't matter at this point because there's only going to be one part in this. I'm going to click on the top on this box to rotate the workspace to show the top, and then I'm going to click create sketch. This will come up with the plane which I need to click on, and that's already oriented to the top plane. I'm going to click the circle and I'm going to snap it to the center, the origin. This means it will always be attached to the origin and it won't move around. I'm then going to click sketch dimension, click on the outer edge of the circle, and I'm going to make it 150 millimeters, which is 15 centimeters. You can change this to be whatever size you want your pot to be. I'm going to click finish sketch and then I'm going to click extrude. I'm going to rotate my screen so I can see a bit better the extrude, and then I'm going to type in, I want this to be 15 centimeters or 150 millimeters as well. It will come up as a new body and just click OK. Now I'm going to put a fillet on the bottom edge. So I'm going to click the bottom edge and then I'm going to just type in what number I want. I'm going to do 20 and then click OK. Next I'm going to shell this because at the moment it's just a solid cylinder. So I'm going to click shell. I'm going to click the face, the top face, so this will be the open face. So click on that. And then the thickness you want to set to, that will be the wall, that will be left. So if I put it to 5, it will leave 5 millimeters around the edge. So I'm going to click OK. It also leaves the bottom as well, and because we filleted the bottom edge first, the fillet is in the shell, so it keeps its curved shape inside as well as outside, and that just makes it nicer when it's being printed, that the thickness, the wall thickness, is uniform. So that's the basics of the actual pot. Now if you want to add some text or some pattern onto the outside, I will show you how to do that. So I'm going to create a new plane. I'm going to click construct offset plane. Now what you have to do is you have to choose a plane. Because I snapped the sketch to the origin, my pot is covering the planes, but you can just about see them. There's the 3 here. That's not, there we go. I'm just going to click the front one, and then I want it to be further forward. So I'm going to put -100 because the distance is based on positive or negative numbers. So if you want it in one direction, it will be a positive number, but if you want it in the opposite direction, it will be a negative number. So I'm going to put -100 in, and that brings the plane in front of the pot. I'm going to click on this plane and then click create sketch. That rotates the workspace so you can see what you're looking at. I'm going to click create and I'm going to click text. And then I'm going to draw a box. Just in the center. I'm going to type a whatever you want to type really. I'm going to make mine plant related. It's more of a happy thought of the plant. I will survive, because if you're like me, your plants will die. So you can choose the font you want. You are restricted to what's in here, but there's lots of options, so you can go with whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it as Arial. I like the simplicity. You can change the height, so you can make it bigger or smaller. Actually, the 30 that was there was fine. And then you can change like the alignment. I'm going to keep mine central, and I want to keep it central to the box that has been drawn as well. And then you can click OK. The other thing I'm going to do is just make sure it's central. So I'm going to click Sketch Dimension. I'm going to click the top of this box and the top of the pot. Hang on. Just delete that, because it didn't quite click the top of the pot. Sketch, and then top of the pot. Okay, it's not clicking, so I'm going to escape. And I'm going to do that again. But this time I'm going to click the top of the pot first, then click Sketch Dimension. Okay, yeah, so sometimes it's easier to click the edge you want first and then click Sketch Dimension, just so it does actually connect. And I'm going to make that 30. Then I'm going to do the same the other side, but I'm going to do it to the edge of this fillet because I want this writing to be central to this face. So I'm going to do the same again and click the edge of the box, and then you can put 30. And that just centralises the box. The writing is central to the box, and then the box is central to the face. And then what you can also do is add in another line. So I'm going to make it, do it from the origin up to the midpoint of the top. And if you escape from there, click the line and then click construction. And what that does is that it's not a real line, it's there to help you construct something. Okay, so I've got my line down the middle. I'm going to click Sketch Dimension. I'm going to dimension this whole box, so I'm going to make it 170. And then I'm going to dimension this line to the construction line. And if you don't want to do the maths in your head, you can do 170 divided by 2 on your keyboard, click enter, and it does that calculation for you. So that's now central to the pot. Not that it overly matters because the pot is circular, but if you had a pot that wasn't circular, then at least it's central. And then you can click Finish Sketch. Now if I just rotate the screen, I'm using my center scroll button to rotate. What you can do now is emboss this sketch onto the pot. So if you click on Create and click Emboss, and then click on where it says Sketch Profile, click on the writing. If your writing disappears before you get to this point, it is probably in this menu here on the side. Click the little arrow next to Component, and in Sketches, it has Sketches. These little eyes show if the sketch is visible or not. Sometimes that gets turned off and the sketch is not. So if I do that, it disappears, and you click the eye and it will reappear. So if you lose a sketch, that's how you find it again. So let me just do that, click that again. That's the sketch, and then select, and that's the face I want. So let me just see if this has worked. Yes. So that has been projected onto this face. Deboss does the opposite in that it cuts it out of the face. So it depends what you want, really. If you want it to be engraved or embossed, or, well, debossed, embossed. I want it sticking out of the face, so I'm going to stick with emboss. And then here is where you can choose the depth. I'm going to stick with 1 because I don't want any support on the writing, and I don't need it to be sticking out too far. 1mm is enough for it to be readable. So I am going to click OK. And there we have the writing on the pot. So that's quite a straightforward way of doing it. You can put anything you want on the pot. What's good to note though is that if you have something that's particularly long, a long phrase, and the phrase is longer than the circumference of the pot, you will have an error. So you need to make sure that the writing is shorter than the circumference of the pot, and then it will work. So now I'm going to save this. Save. Save. And then I'm going to export. And this has to be an STL file. It's already selected, but make sure it's STL because that's what we need for 3D printing, and click export. Now you need to open your Ultimaker Cura. Now it's open, and you're going to go to the File button, and you're going to click on the file that you just exported, and you will come up with a pot. I'm going to leave it in this orientation because if you flip it upside down, it will print supports in the middle, which can take quite a long time. This is quite a big pot as well, so it's come in and it's auto snapped it to the center of the bed, which is fine, and it's automatically come through the right way up. And the reason it's done that is because we drew it on the top plane, and we drew it in the same orientation as the way it's going to come up on the printer. So I can now look at slicing this. This is going to need supports around the bottom here where this radius is. So I'm going to I'm going to leave it on tree and touching build plate, and then I'm going to slice. And this might take a little while just because it's a large part. Okay, and preview, what we got. Okay, that's not quite what I want. I don't want that support coming up the side, so let's change it to everywhere. Let's see what that does. Okay, I think it might be because it's on tree. Let's try normal and everywhere. We'll just wait for that to finish. That is also not what I want. Wow, okay, we're going to go through every single option. Well, at least this shows that this is a process that needs to happen when 3D printing to find the best way of printing and to find out the best way that the software can make this as well. What's this? Is this? That's not it either. Okay, so I've been playing around with the settings and I'm going to go with this. The reason I'm going to go for this one is because it has the least amount of supports. I know that I know of some people who enjoy taking the supports off their parts and filing it down and making it look nice. I don't. So I like to choose the settings with the least amount of supports so that I can just take them off easily and quickly and then use my part as quickly as possible. So this is what I'm going to go for because it is the least amount of supports. That's just my personal preference. If you think that you'd prefer more supports and it will make it look better, then go for that. But for me, personally, this is what I'm going to go with. Also, it's going to take a day and 9 hours. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. If you want to make a bigger pot, make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, make it smaller. You can make it tiny if you want to. This is for a house plant, but you can make this for anything you want to. So I've got to the point where that is now ready for printing. I'm going to save it to my disk. So that could be a USB or a data card, depending on what your printer uses. So save it onto that, put that into your printer, and then follow the instructions on your printer with how to print it. I hope it all goes well. Good luck with it, and yeah, enjoy the very long print time of this one.